All right, guys, welcome back, or welcome to the All-Star Boxing Podcast. Got a really cool one for you because I've got another cool special guest. So she is, and you're actually the first female boxer to really have your own thing in this, so that's pretty cool. She's the IBF Youth World Champion and the WBO Super Flyweight World Champion too. So ranked number 3 in the IBF and number 1 in the IBO for the Super Flyweight. So thank you, Ms. Taylah Robertson. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nah, easy. And so I don't really know you.
Yeah,
I've never really had a proper conversation over the years. So I'm keen to really dig through the layers and see who you are.
Just seeing each other around.
Yeah. So I just saw. So recently, I thought you were in Bali, but you came back from
Solomon Islands. Yeah.
So 1 week.
Yeah, just a quick week getaway. Just after Christmas. Yeah, just after Christmas, the day after Christmas. Just wanted to be unplugged in a tropical island kind of vibe. So family and my partner went over for 7 days. It was really nice.
Yeah, well, and this is a sport where we have to be on all year round, but I also enjoy the times then that we can take off.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's needed. It's the contrast. You know, you can't always be on all year round.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely someone who really emphasizes on balance in life. At the end of the day, boxing can be taken away from me with one injury, so I want to make sure I have balance and water my relationships outside of boxing, my family, my friends, and do things. I have other things in life that I'm going to enjoy. So if anything happened to boxing one day, I've got plan B, C, D, and E.
Yeah, nice.
Of course, boxing's the only goal that I want to go down, but I like to enjoy other things in life as well.
Yeah, nice. And we were having the conversation before the podcast about just how even the 1%ers, the world champions that go on to become world champions, you know, they're breaking into this $1 million fight bracket.
Yeah.
Where at least the ones before, like let's say myself, you know, if I don't break into that $1 million bracket, at least I can create some sort of career outside of it and take something away from the sport. Yeah,
I definitely, with my goals inside the sport, I definitely want to market myself and brand myself the right way. And like, as much, you can be the best boxer in the world, but if you're not marketing and branding yourself, you're not going to make as much money as you could if you were to brand yourself, I think. As we were saying before, Jake Paul was a good example of that. And if I can get into any of those brackets to sort of create some sort of thing to start up post-career, that's the goal.
Yeah, nice. Because how old are you?
I'm 24.
24, young. So you're a Commonwealth Games representative for Australia. So that was the Gold Coast. Was that 2018?
Yeah, 2018.
2018. So bronze medalist. Now, when I watched that fight, and we'll watch it later on, that was like the final. Yeah.
So she was the number 1 seed and she was the eventual gold medalist as well. So when I fought her, it was a close, tough fight, and it was a split point. But looking back now, as disappointed as I was at the time, you can always do more. Yeah.
And that's the tricky thing with boxing or any combat sport is it all happens in that moment.
Yeah.
In that moment, and we can have all the preparation, and this is why we train to do what we do to perform in the ring.
Yeah.
But it's still such a different, and we can have all the sparring rounds, and you know you can get all the work done, but it's what happens on the night.
Absolutely. It's just sometimes I find as soon as you get in the ring and the bell goes, all my skill and everything I've known goes out the window, and it's just hit her. That's it. I'm like, I need to land some punches and score some. Everything else is gone, and then it's just I'm trying to like get it back in, but it's just all muscle memory at that point.
Yeah. And that's why we have drills.
That's
why we drill, so we can just perform it in the moment subconsciously and not have to think.
Yeah.
Because that's energy and mental energy in there, so we really have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in, so when did you first start boxing?
I first started boxing, I don't know the exact age, but it was somewhere between 10 and 12. I couldn't tell you.
And that was Townsville, was it?
No, that was Bribie Island.
Okay.
Bribie Island. I was born in Townsville, but I was only there for a couple months. I can't even remember any life of Townsville. But in Bribie Island is where I did predominantly most of my schooling. And in primary school, there was on the bus home, I saw boxing classes, and some boys in my cul-de-sac were starting who I hung out with and rode ripsticks and, you know, all that stuff. And then when they started boxing, I just joined them for fitness. And then I did kids classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then just kept going.
And you liked it?
Yeah, I liked it, and then my coach started asking. No girl, there was not one girl in the gym. This is what, 15 years ago now. So there's not one girl in the gym. It wasn't even in the Olympics at the time. It's female boxing. So, yeah, my coach asked me to be a sparring partner for some of the young boys, that like the peewees. And then I ended up just being good at it. So then, and when I say good, at that age, no skill, but just all heart.
Yep.
Yeah.
And look, and that's what you need as a fighter.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
To have that heart and a bit of that mungle to really go in there and just kind of just take it.
Yeah,
just that's what they're trying to do as well.
Wanted to win so bad. Every spar I thought of as a fight, and I just wanted to win it, even though the boys were a lot better than me.
yeah. It's just
that's just the way it is. Yeah.
You know? So where was that? What gym was that?
I don't even know if it exists anymore. It was Guillotine Boxing Club.
Oh, with
Ty Gilchrist. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I think he's changed the name maybe now. I don't know, but it was on Bribey Island a long time ago. I think he's moved spaces and stuff. But yeah, it was like about 15 years ago.
And then how long until you had your first amateur fight while you were training?
So I went through a couple years without being able to get fights. So we used to go. I'd go with Ty to every tournament. I was in league or global at the time. And we'd go around to every tournament, and there was not one girl who would weigh in. So I'd just kind of go there, watch the boys fight, and then go home. And I'd put my name on the board, but there'd just never be anyone. And then I had a couple of exhibitions with boys. You know, Benny Cameron Hands, he was one of them.
Yeah, wow.
And then I had maybe 3 or 4 more exhibitions with boys. And then my first official fight was with a girl 25 kilos heavier. And there's a photo of it. And she's just towering over me, and I won. So it was an official fight, because in global you can do anything.
But still, like you said, we don't have the population, don't have the numbers to be able to perform as often as you did.
Yeah.
And same as for myself, and you would be in a more extreme case. You know, I weighed in so many tournaments, and I would have to fight up weight just to get a fight, because, you know, I was fighting the same guys over and over.
Yeah.
But Coach Jamie Pittman speaks of this and says, look, Australia, we don't have the population like the other countries, Europe and
but
America.
The depth is huge.
Yeah, but he says, look, in the amateurs, this whole fear of losing has to go, because you need the experience.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep racking up these fights.
That's where you're supposed to have losses in the amateurs. You're supposed to learn those lessons. It's definitely, there was no one who was ever scared to fight as an amateur, because I knew a loss was never going to be the end of the world. Of course, it meant something to me, but it was my time to do trial and error in the ring. And then I guess the pros is where you start to try tidy it up a bit.
Yep. Amateurs like a resume. And
then, your resume to go to as a pro. I actually do wish I went pro sooner than what I did, because I really struggled for the first year with the transition to being a pro, and stop being so bouncy on my feet and just, you know, that Yeah.
And look, and that's the challenge of the crossover.
Yeah.
When you look at boys like, and I'm not putting anything out there, but you know, the Harry Garside of the sport.
Yeah, he's still very amateur.
Tappy in the pro game.
Liam from your gym, he had a very pro style as an amateur. That's why I remember when I first saw him, and we were at a PCYC, and he was fighting, I think, Reese Evans. And he, I think, dropped him with a body shot. And that was my first time seeing kind of that power in the amateurs. And I was like, who is this guy? And then and he had that effect on a lot of people. And then when he went pro, he's just molded into the pros pretty what I have seen easily.
And that's where a lot of pros will do better a lot of amateurs will do better in the pros, than they would in the amateurs. And you look at all the Cuban style of amateurs.
Can't transition over.
It's a bit of a struggle. It's two different sports almost. Physically too. You know, amateurs are all fast and speed, and that's where people that don't really understand boxing, they struggle to compare the two.
Yeah. And when people say I'm pro, when I say to people, oh, I'm pro, the first thing I go, oh, are you going to go to the Olympics then? I'm like, that's actually, and it's hard to say that, because I highly respect how hard it is to get into the Olympics. I'm like, it's actually amateur. Like, I'm trying to explain.
We're like, I'm actually a bronze medalist at Commonwealth Games. So, you know. So talk us through your Commonwealth Games experience. Like,
my Commonwealth Games experience was really awesome, to be honest. Like, once because I wasn't really expected to win that year. I just turned 18, and you know, like Christy Harris was the reigning.
32.
Yeah, and she'd been to the last Com Games, and then there was another girl, Adriana Smith, who was in there, and
They
she
were all
was
the favourites.
Favorites. Even Ruiz was a bit of a favorite. There was actually Lauren Camilleri. She'd beaten me in the amateurs. She was
Where's
in
she
there. Victoria.
Okay.
But then I beat her back then after that. And then I can't remember who I fought for the trials, but I definitely wasn't supposed to win. And then when I took it out, it was a big upset. Even to the Australian coaches at the time, because they'd actually pre-booked Christy Harris's room at the AAS, expecting her to be the one to go.
Man.
So then when I went there, she still had a room there as well, because they'd pre-booked it. And then when I got there, and the whole experience was awesome. The training, we did like, I think 7 weeks total in the Philippines. And then we did, I lived in camp. They moved me to Canberra on scholarship as soon as it happened. And I started training full time for the first time, where I didn't have to work because they'd put me on a scholarship there. And then I think being able to just apply myself to training with no other distractions was really good. And
especially at a young age. 18.
Yeah, it was really, I didn't drink on my 18th. I was flying to Poland the next day. So I had I couldn't even eat dinner at that time because you know what weight cuts are like. I was just eating boiled eggs. And then, and then once it all started happening, the actual Com Games experience was also really great, seeing all the other sports, the opening ceremonies. It's just an experience not many people get to experience, and I was just really happy to be representing my country. But I remember going in it because it was a really grueling training camp, especially in the Philippines, just like with no doubt that I wasn't leaving with a gold. So that was, at a young age, 18, was a really hard pill to swallow, that you can apply yourself for so long and still not win. So that was a good lesson as well, I thought.
Life lessons, you know.
Yeah.
When we fall short, or you know, like you can say, oh, I could have done this better and that better. But being there and attending and doing your best. That's all anyone can.
There's so much emotion to it. You know yourself, like how much you got to put into it, and like the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in the sport. Like there's nothing quite as heartbreaking as a loss.
You're on a high ecstasy feeling, and then the other next camp it could be the lowest of low because you've had a loss. You know? I've experienced both ends of that. You know, and to still show up in the gym and do it all over again.
Exactly.
That takes a different kind of discipline.
Yeah, just keep getting back in there. After a loss, I always have to go straight back to the gym because I don't want to sit on my hands for too long. I'm like, get me a next fight. I need to make it back up.
Well, I think you're an age. Look, I'm 33 now. You know, so like you're an age where boxing seems to be booming here in Australia.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Look at Sky Nicholson and all these people now really doing amazing.
Yeah, the Australian athletes are doing great. Watching everyone, Tim Tszyu versus, now Harrison and Liam on the weekend. We've had Sky with Matchroom Ebony just taking out the world title. Neeks with the world title. It's booming. We're like making noise at the moment on the world scene. It's great to see because I've come in at a really good time.
Yep. Now I want to watch these videos only because this laptop's going to die. So this is your Commonwealth Games bronze medal fight. Okay. So before, who was in the corner?
The national coach for Australia, Kevin Smith, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was then. Yep. Anyone else was in there?
Maybe Shara Roma.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe. I can't remember.
So I'll timestamp this race. This is at 14:52, just so I can put it out there. So anyway, who was that was versus Lisa Whiteside.
Yes, Lisa Whiteside.
From the UK.
Yeah.
Now, she was one of the favourites.
She was the #1 seed going into the competition.
And she ended up winning gold. Like I said to you before, this was the grand final.
Yeah, this was. And especially because we'd done comp sparring at the AAS. The only country that didn't come was England.
Wow.
But I sparred like India, Ireland, and all the other girls, and I felt so confident going into it. My comp spars,
Well, this was a good fight. Like, So this is the last minute, really. I know you've watched this 100 million times, but this is for the boxing fans that know who you are. So and that slip, you kept on slipping.
Yeah.
And as I was watching this fight, I was like, oh, that's your little swag about you. But that kept on working because
she kept. It was like the little hook off thing. I feel like we really got the hook offs in the amateurs embedded into us.
Nice. Yep. And so you're age 18 here.
Yeah, I was only 18.
Young. And she's 32. You can see that she's got that mature body.
The commentators said, and I didn't know this, but when I watched it back, that she'd been, by the time I was 12 years old, she was at a like 4th or 5th world championships she's already been to when I was only just starting fighting.
And there was no real big gap in this. Like I said, whoever's going to win this was off to win the gold.
Yeah. I think if this is the last round, I think that was a round she probably definitely had too.
She had to pick it up?
Yeah, I think she had it in I think the 3rd round she was definitely putting more pressure on.
Yeah.
Which is where I wish I'd just kind of bit down and push forwards back.
But again, like... Just
hindsight's a great thing.
Like, you did amazing.
Wow, I box so different here now. Looking at this.
And then, so how old were you when you had your pro debut?
Oh, no, it wasn't. It was Don Abnett.
Oh, yeah.
So then after this, I went on to do a series tours overseas in like Spain,
training camps,
Poland, fights. Nice. And then I won gold at the Spanish tournament and a few others. And then we went to the World Championships in Russia. And then
nice.
I used to cut weight so bad. Like
51 kilos.
Yeah, if anyone knew me like in camp, I didn't do it properly. Because I was so young, I just thought not eating would stop me. So I'd do like a month of eating a boiled egg for breakfast and a protein shake for dinner, and that was it. And then I'd train them. But like whenever I'd go into the ring as an amateur, you could see it. Like I'd just fatigue really quickly all the time. And I think when I went to Russia, I'd done a weight cut so bad where I was up all night in saunas and as an amateur, it's same day weigh-ins. And then I think I had to help be carried because I was going to pass out to the weigh-in scales in Russia.
Man. Wow.
And like my mouth was like cotton wool, and I was like, oh, this sucks. And then the draw came out, and I was fighting that day in the 11 a.m. session. It was like 6 a.m. after I'd weighed in, and I was like, oh my God, my worst nightmare was to be fighting today because of how bad I did it.
Yep.
And then
but that was just the lack of education back then.
And being so young, I just, in my head, I was like, okay, I need to lose weight. Let's stop eating. Yep. But now I've got a fully proper process nutritionist, I'm doing it all properly, and I just feel so much more energy now when I fight as a pro, which has been great.
Yep.
But then when I went pro was 2019 or 2020, end of 2019 or start of 2020. I think it was the start of 2020. Yeah. And then I went pro on a boxing shop card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were you with Glenn Azar for the debut?
No, I wasn't with Glenn Azar for my debut. I was at the boxing shop for my debut.
How did that relationship come about? So you're now at Project 180.
Yes.
Azar.
So
how did that come about?
My relationship with Glenn. So I came and did a podcast. I was doing a YouTube series at the time called Uncharted Waters, where I was diving into other elite athlete sports.
Nice.
This was like during COVID, so boxing was on the back foot at the time. There's no fights happening.
Where can anyone find this?
On YouTube. I did Quade Cooper. I did Nitro Circus.
Yeah, nice.
I did extreme cliff diving with Red Bull.
Wow.
I did heaps of different elite sports, and then I'd bring them into the boxing gym and throw them in the deep end, and that's why we called it Uncharted Waters.
Yep.
We only ended up doing 6 episodes because I got a scar in the middle of my forehead because I flipped a backflip off a ramp, and the bar landed in there, and I was like, I got to stop because I'm going to get injured from this. And then through that process with Quade Cooper, he was friends with a guy called Zaya, and Zaya worked at Glenn's gym, and he asked me after the episode if I'd be interested in doing a podcast with Glenn. And then I went in and met the gym and everyone like that. And at the time, I was working like 3 different PT jobs trying to, make money. And then Glenn offered me work. Oh no, I messaged Glenn and said, hey, because he'd spoken about some, like the gym and all that, and I just messaged him and said, hey, do you have any work going at the gym? I'm in between these jobs. And he had a meeting with me and he's like, okay, so what are you doing? Because he wanted to help support like boxing. So he was like, what are you doing? And I explained all the different jobs I'm working. He's like, how do you box and do all this? And he's like, even like holding pads for really big men, your wrists would get real. So then he just cleared all of it and said, what are you getting paid? I'll pay you that if you just come into one spot and do the boxing classes.
Nice.
So I basically came in and worked with Glenn. He offered to do free strength and conditioning if I had chosen to, but at the time my coaches didn't really want that. So then I just worked there and trained at the boxing shop. And then a few things that I weren't happy with between my management at the time and my coaches at the time at the boxing shop, I wasn't content with, and I knew if I wanted to start, I wasn't getting fights. It was really difficult. I wasn't getting responses on phone calls. It was just a really process where I was contemplating quitting boxing. I was like, this is just too much. It's too politically hard. Like, no one would fight me. Well, I was being told that, but whether they did or didn't, I'm not too sure.
There was no movement.
There was no movement, and I was never going anywhere. I kept on getting told I would be fighting here, and then I never got a fight. And then I was actually just going to quit boxing at the time. And then I don't know. I ended up telling them that I was leaving the gym, actually not even knowing if I was going to go to another gym. And then once I'd left the gym, I started brainstorming I was going to go to Eastside because I'd done some work for them there, holding boxing classes. I wasn't sure. I'd kind of thought of Mark Wilson on the Gold Coast. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go. And then I was also looking for where girls would be that I could spar and stuff. And then in that period of time, Glenn offered to train and hold pads for me whilst I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, because I still needed to get a job. And then over the time of us doing pads, I just asked him if he would look after me for a while, and then we were going to, till I figured out what I wanted to do. And then Glenn ended up calling every promoter in the country to get me a fight, and then got me a fight. We fought for free, and then Jamie Myers card in the Gold Coast. And then after that, Glenn made it for a title, for the Australian title, and then that fight then got us recognised by Tasman, and then Tasman jumped on, and then we started getting more fights, and we started getting televised, and then the role starts happening.
Nice, yep.
So it's all about just getting seen, really.
Yeah, yep. So got your pro debut here. We'll just clear this before this thing dies. Where are we at? Boom. This one. So I wanted to catch it. Boom. Where was this?
This was in Brisbane.
Yeah.
It was like an amphitheatre. I just can't remember the venue name.
Boom. Okay, so let me go. So this is your debut. And how long was this after the Commonwealth Games?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. So anyway, when I watched this today, because I hadn't seen nothing
Yeah.
right, so I did a bit of background search. So we're at 130 now.
A bronze medalist, as you mentioned, at the recent Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. Of course, she is from the Gold Coast, Taylah Robertson. To have a Commonwealth Games medal in your early 20s.
So when I saw this,
a wonderful effort as she opens up on Quinrat Ree here. She's got Quinrat Ree right where she wants her. Relentless work from Robertson.
boom,
Yeah.
and that was that. What was going through your mind in that moment? Like when you were just flurrying, it's just like, boom, I'm just...
Yeah, I just kind of was like, I've got her here. I'm just going to finish it. And then I just let my hands go. And then when she dropped, I was like, oh, I've got this. And then he said it was finished. And I was actually a bit disappointed because I only got under a minute.
Started.
Yeah, I was...
But I think even though you physically really gave it to her, I think psychologically she was like, oh, I don't want to be here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, she definitely gave that vibe.
The girl's pretty. I don't think she's going to be a fighter like this, you know what I mean? But I saw that today. I was like, yeah, cool. I'm gonna show that part because that shows that bite.
Yeah.
That's that bite in you. You know, to be able to really go for it and just take it.
Yeah, I definitely have that mentality in the ring. I want it bad. I think when you dedicate your whole life to something, though, I think there's no other way to be than that.
Yeah, nice. So what's coming up? I saw that post. It's something to do with Canada. Can you speak on that one?
Yeah. So we just signed, we're still with Tasman, but we're also working with an overseas promoter now, Lee Baxter in Canada, who's got the DAZN rights to North America and Canada.
Nice.
So that's just, we're just jumping. We'll have our first fight in March 26th, actually, so only a couple of weeks away.
Wow.
And yeah, again, I'm just really excited to be getting on another platform, bringing in an international audience a bit more, and start getting seen, and of course performing as the best as I can, because that's how you're going to get followed, is by your substance in the ring.
And that's where, so Liam fought on the weekend, and Liam's record 11-1, and he's had hard fights. And I was watching this interview with Liam, and he said, I only want the hard fights.
Yeah.
You know, that really brings the best out of me. He goes, and made me laugh, he goes, I wouldn't get out of bed for anything less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, and that's what I see in you, but now, me being a pro fighter too, I need those fights to be able to aim for something.
Yeah.
You need someone to aim for.
Yeah.
Or else my body's doing nothing, I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I guess for the female boxing too, because it's not as popular as the male boxing, it's now really starting to lift up there.
Yeah.
You two need to keep moving.
Absolutely. I just want to keep a roll going now. I want to be getting as international as I can this year. I want to be doing my camps in America a lot. I think they get it over there. They understand. In Australia, I always say we have tall poppy. I think that's how you say it, tall poppy. And if I walk into a gym here, if I could have said nothing and 3 people would be like, oh, she thinks she's that good, huh? Like, it's just we have to bring people down. It was like, we need to cut their heads off, bring them back down to reality. That's just what we do. If I walk into a gym, I have walked into gyms in America, and everyone will be on the treadmills going, that's the champ, yeah. And they're like, let's go. They're all screaming. They push you. They hype you up. You could be a novice title champion, and they will literally blow up you into everyone. Someone you will walk in the gym, have you met the champ yet? Like, it's just a different atmosphere, I found. That is why they have such a fan-based culture, and why their athletes hit such highs over there, is because everyone allows them to be exceptional.
Nice,
Whereas here, everyone,
chops each
you
other
would have
down.
heard it with Jeff Horn. He beat Manny Pacquiao. It's an amazing achievement, and everyone's like, oh, he's good, but at his it wasn't even at his prime. And it's like, why do you have to add the but in all the time? Why can't we just praise people and, you know, let them be who they are? I just think it's where Australia is lacking. It's the fans.
Yeah. Yep. No, you're right, and it's kind of disheartening when you put your life on the line and really push your hardest and just go through the emotional roller coaster of the sport, and then to have comments come at you online or offline, and it's like, man, like, walk a mile in my shoes, and then speak.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, you're all couch potatoes that just want to say something.
If you look at the actual accounts, it's like 0 followers, private account with a cat as a profile picture. And it's like, that's just enough as it is.
Oh, man.
Whenever I'm like, because I'll only ever notice the bad comments for some reason. I'll get like 100 good comments, and the second someone was like, am I allowed to? I won't swear, actually. Like, you're terrible, and then you just remember that comment, and then I'll text Glenn at the end of the day, and I'll be like, did you see this person's comment? I'm like, why does that matter, and why am I not taking in all the others?
Yeah. And it's sad because, like, even over my years of boxing, I've seen friends that were my friends.
Yeah.
They've gone off too, and like, you know, like, I wish nothing but for everyone to do the best.
Yeah,
like, when I see someone winning and doing amazing, and Liam over in America for the WBO and all of that, I think, man, that's amazing. Like, that raises everyone else up.
Yeah.
It's like that whole 1 minute mile.
It's great for all of Australians when they do well, so yeah.
So there needs to be more people praising everybody.
Yeah, we need to be each other's hype, especially if we can start boosting each other, then the rest of the world's going to do it. If we're not doing it for each other, we all, I think a lot of people think it's going to bring their name up, bringing others down. It's just not.
Nah, wrong. It's an old model. And look, you know, I hope this whole podcast setup is helping, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is what I enjoy.
Yeah.
You know? I love finally finding out about other people, other athletes. And, you know, I've walked that journey too, you know. So I want to be able to just give people this platform to be able to be like, you know what, man, good on you. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be some of us that can do that, eh?
Yeah.
So cool. So Canada. So when is that? You're saying 2 weeks?
No, March 26th. So 6 weeks?
6 weeks.
6
okay.
weeks, yeah.
So what's preparation now leading up to that?
So, well, we've got like a full program that we've been in for the last 12, since we started camp on week 12, but then we've had an interruption just filming some stuff over in Melbourne. And then when we came home, now we've got a couple of weeks to grind in before we fly over there and finish camp in Canada.
Wow.
So we're sort of have been in camp for the last 4 weeks anyways, but now that without some distractions out of the way, we're just head down at the moment.
Yeah, nice.
We've had Neeks fly in from Melbourne, and we've been working with her a lot, and Dee Dee. We had an open sparring day the other day, and we got heaps of girls. It was a really good show up, and we had some really good rounds. So I've just been trying to actually spar quite a lot this camp, because I found the more I've been sparring, the more I've just things clicking a lot more. I'm like, oh, the rhythm's happening, the shoulder workout.
Nice.
It's just like a whole different fitness to running. Like, obviously you need to do all your conditioning, but I just find your boxing fitness is just so different to every other kind of fitness. Like your capacity to relax in the ring without overusing your muscles and all that kind of stuff. The more I spar, the more I kind of can click into that, and then 8 rounds becomes easy, 10 rounds becomes easy, whereas running 10 laps around the oval never gets easy for me.
Yeah, wow. And that's so cool. And like, you're still so young.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. Like, even when I was at the Com Games, I think I was the youngest female boxer there. And then going on from that, like, the girls who have been fighting, like Shannon's 40, 33. Actually, I haven't really fought anyone that young except for the youth world title, and she was from Venezuela. So all the Aussie girls that I've been working with or sparring with have actually quite been and competing against have been a lot older than me, which makes me feel really, I guess, lucky to be coming in at such a young age to have the opportunities ahead of me.
Yep. And, you know, you're only just beginning.
Yeah.
So, you know, I hope everything goes to plan and, you know, more opportunities come your way. Do you have all the support from your family?
Yeah. My mum wasn't, I wouldn't say she's not supportive, but she was never on board with it. I had to keep begging her to continue boxing every year as a child. Like, it's just a hobby, Mum. It's just for fitness. And then I think when I got to grade 12 and Mum wanted me to go to uni and everything like that. And then she's like, you have to quit boxing now. You have to start focusing on a career, blah, blah, blah. And then I ended up moving out of home to Karoi, where Mark Evans used to train, and became an apprentice chef and trained morning and night for the Com Games. So that was when, and then once I made the Com Games, Mum has been nothing but my biggest fan. She's like, you've applied yourself, you've dedicated yourself, you've proved it's not just something like you're having scraps in the gym.
Some hobby.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. So she's like completely 110% on board, and
Nice. Yeah, and look, that's human nature, and that's parents looking out for us, and you know they want the security, and we're, you know, they're older than us, so they know more, and we all go
looking back at grade 12, I do get it. Like, now that I'm 24, I'm like, oh, I get why Mum wanted me to go to university. I have like other options, but at least I stuck it through and proved something wrong. But I do get the being hesitant towards the idea of it.
And when you look at boxing, like, we've seen all these different athletes, the Jake Pauls, and then we've seen all the guns as well. And we see this is a sport where if you're marketable, you can still create your own opportunities. Yeah,
absolutely. I think you got to create your own opportunities. You got to brand yourself. You got to market yourself. You got to get yourself in the public eye. And it's not for everyone. Like, I know so many boxers who would much rather just be doing it, but it's such a sport where I know world champions who have been paid $3,000, and I know world champions who are being paid $400 million. And the difference is how you market yourself, views on seats, you know. So I think making sure you have substance in the ring, you can entertain, you can, you know, speak well, and you can do all your branding outside. And it's just so much to the business of it. You can't just, as much as you'd just love to just be the best in the ring, I think when you're talking like branding and making a name for yourself and, you know, monetizing your name a bit, you need to start doing all the other things that most boxers I know don't really like to do, because a lot of boxers are introverted. They come here because it's a safe space. It's like, but I think if we can learn anything from the Jake Pauls and stuff, it is that this guy's having his fourth pro fight and he's making millions. Like, come on, like, he's paving a pathway there to follow.
And, you know, he's challenging the norm, like when he's challenging people like Dana White from the UFC.
Yeah.
And he's creating a whole new empire for young
Yeah.
boxers to be able to jump on and
Yeah.
go a different way. Like, you know, he's somebody, a trailblazer who's doing something different
Yeah.
for a bigger cause. And,
Yeah.
and we're now starting to see that. And just like this whole podcast idea, no one really sees the vision until it starts happening.
Until it's happening, and then they're like, "Oh wow, this is great." Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, well, I said that back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But nah, cool. Well, thank you for jumping on, and you know, I'd love to have you back on again in the future after you win some more
Yeah.
titles and all of that. So, look, you're so young, and
Yeah.
I didn't have what you have at your age.
Yeah.
So the sport is changing, forever changing, and you get to really grow with the trends too and what's
Yeah.
happening. Is there anyone you want to say a quick thank you to or anything?
Yeah, just thanks
Till
to
the list
all
goes
my
on.
team. Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And I hope to one day I want to make my mission to get the other girls in. Do
Yeah,
like
yeah, get a lot of
full-
them.
I want to get Dee in. I want to
we,
get her
we
in.
spoke to her today. We were like, I was like, did you not see the messages? She's like, oh, that's just not for me. And then I was just like, what? I was like, what? Me and Glenn were like, you need to do this stuff, Dee Dee. Like, she's like, well, I don't have anything going on at the moment. What do I talk about?
And look, and that's where. So with this whole podcast,
I was
thing,
like, that's why you do it.
That's it. That's it. Look, if people get nervous, and 'cause
Yeah.
now we're comfortable with this, and you're pretty good, but you know, I have other people on, and I really have to be the torchbearer to be able to like lead conversation.
it,
and
yeah.
Once they feel comfortable, then they're in that state of
Yeah, we'll get her in. We'll.
flow. We will. So look, I wish you all the best, and thank you for coming in. You know, we'll do this again later on
Yeah.
when you've got more accolades. But yeah, so everyone just follow Taylah Robertson. So Instagram, Taylah Robertson,
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah. All Taylah Robertson.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you get some more people to follow your journey.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
Nah,
having
cool,
me
cool,
on board.
cool. Awesome, man.